Now that your body has been prepared and your channels and chakras and elements are getting somewhat prepared with the preliminary practices of the wind, fire, water series, the double kumbha breathing, the alternate nostril breathing, etc. Now we're ready to start to explore and get into static asana, poses where you're just holding still, okay? So I'm going to give you 9 static asana that will help to prepare your body if you come for a level 2 training, if you don't have a lot of prior sports or yoga experience. It'll prepare your body and also start to get you into a bit of a mode where you'll be sensing in the body the areas that will relate to the channels, the bindus, the chakras, so you'll have an easier transition, right? So these 9 asana, these 9 postures are kind of well-rounded in this way, will create better health and also better subtle sensitivity when practiced regularly, okay? You can, if you're not into going into level 2, 3, 4, 5 of the way of fire, then it's not so important that you do these all the time to maintain your health. A little bit here and there might be good, okay? A little prescriptive. If you get a little bit too weak or you get a little too inflexible, you might want to do these for a few weeks and then take them out again and stick with the wind, fire, water series for long-term benefit. Okay, so with that said, let's go to the first one, which will be the sumo squat. I'm going to do all these in English and skip the Sanskrit because it's kind of long and confusing for a lot of people. So the sumo squat, okay? So you're going to go to your feet. If we go like this too close and I start to squat down, you see the angle of my shin. It's becoming an acute angle over my feet, my ankles. It shouldn't happen that way. So we have to find the position where it's wide enough that when I sink down, my shins stay relatively plumb, but not so wide that when I sink down, it's very unbalanced and it's almost like going into a squat, split. Okay, so we don't want too wide. So it's right in between. Not too close, not too wide. Think about the angles of the legs I was just telling you about, keeping the leg angle, the shin, not too acute when you come down, okay? I'll show you once first, and then we'll talk about what you should and shouldn't do. So what I want you to do is you place your hands here, clasping. There's other ways to practice this in the future at level 2. Right now we're going to practice the level 1 way, nice and simple. I'm going to blow out all my air. I'm going to breathe in and just sink down. Notice I'm keeping my back frozen in space. I'm not leaning forward. My knees are staying straight where they are in space, over the toes. And I'm just letting everything relax, arms are hanging, and I'm just coming to a nice comfortable place. I take 1 or 2 deep breaths, and I come back up, right? Just to this position, and that's all it is, okay? I want to be aware of my hips kind of grinding open this way, in this area here. This is opening up. As I go lower, so maybe in the beginning you're kind of tight, you can only go to here, that's fine. Whatever you can do is fine. There is no perfect end position for a yogasana, really. It's working through the process of being in it that's important, and feeling what activates by being in it. If you get to the end of some range of motion, and it looks like the picture of the yoga posture in the book, great. If you don't, it doesn't matter. So here we go. Too much emphasis on the end posture. It's how people get hurt. So, and miss the point of it, which is feeling sensations and energy. Now, I want to have this open up. Right? Not roll in with my knees, which means closing here in the hip. So we want to stay open like I'm riding a horse. I also, the next thing, the 2 sitting bones under here, if you could see them, when I get low, if you get low, if you ever get flexible and you get low, you're going to want to open them like this as you sink down lower, rather than contract, contract, contract as you sink lower. You relax underneath here while you actually use your thighs to hold yourself up. So as you do that, this can open up. There's one of my students was able to, she was an Odissi dancer, she was able to squat straight down like this with her legs this wide and put her pelvis right on the floor, perfectly straight back, completely open underneath, okay? So it's possible, but certainly nothing I'm going for in this lifetime. So here we go, sumo squat, hands like this. Also taking the curve out of my lower back, you'll see that more when I go sideways, demonstrate sideways. Inhale. Go to whatever's comfortable. Exhale. Coming back up again. Okay, it's quite simple, just like that. Let's show from the side now. No need to go low. Again, I'm going to reemphasize, reemphasize. No need to go low. Okay, get my feet set. I get my tail tucked in, right? Tucking your tail doesn't mean moving your pelvis forward. It means nutation and counter nutation, flexion, extension of the sacrum right where it is in space. Elongating the spine. Head up, tongue touching roof of the mouth, deep breath, descend. Just like this, arms are hanging. Notice the knees don't go in front of the toes. 1 or 2 deep breaths. Exhale, and come back up as you exhale. Okay? If you have a hard time with your knees going forward, and you can't sense where it is yet, let's make it believe that this edge of the mat is a wall, mat of the wall. I could walk up to the wall here and do it, and it's a great way to check yourself, the back of a couch or the wall, some flat surface. You'll be like this up against it, and then you start to go down. And when you feel your knees press against, you pull them back. They're pressing against the wall, means they're falling in, you pull them back. So the toes go to the wall, flat wall, and as you sink down, the knees should not touch the wall, right? Or if they touch, it's just grazing, and then you come back up. This is a good way to check your position, okay? So this sumo squat, make sure your knees go in the line of the way the toes are going. They don't fall in. Don't even do out too much, too. Just perfectly in line. Don't collapse your knees inward. Keep your lower back really flat. Sitting bones pry open as you go lower. And do it nice and smooth. And if you can't even sit here and take a few breaths in the beginning, just come straight back up with the exhale. So inhale down, exhale up. Once you're strong enough, you can sit down there and breathe 1, 2, 3, 9 times, and then exhale back up again, okay? So sumo squat. Now, from there, let's go to the plank. Yes, yogins were doing planks thousands of years before the fitness craze hit. So your hands are placed evenly. See my hand, when it's on the floor, I want it like this. A lot of people, when they strain, they go like this. You see that? They pull up. We want a firm contact through the prana lung area of the hand, underneath the index and middle finger. So we press that in the floor. We put the feet back, get the body straight, flatten the low back, have the head straight, and just hold. Now, I'm not collapsing in my shoulders. Shoulders are pressing, not collapsing in my low back. Low back is up, and not collapsing in my butt either, okay? So just like that, hold and breathe. Tongue to roof of the mouth. I have a slight tension pulling my arms back towards my feet and my feet towards my arms. Ever so slight, okay? That's the plank posture, and you can do that for 1 breath, 2, up to 9, okay? And each one of these you can do as many times as you want, as many rounds as you want. And you can later on, when you're getting very well versed and making your yoga prescriptive for you, you can just select certain ones out of this list that you want to use, okay? But what I would be careful of is only doing the same ones all the time, because then we become a little bit too conditioned in certain ways and not well-rounded, all right? Okay, so that's sumo squat and plank. Plank has obviously for the front channel family. It's a front channel asana, very good asana. And now we'll go to the cat posture, Manjari asana. So for the cat posture, 90 degrees at the knees, 90 degrees at the hip, 90 degrees at the shoulder torso. Okay. This is physically wonderful, but energetically just amazing. It's kind of overlooked, I think, a lot in the energetic type of yoga out there today. Now, what we're doing here is elbows rolled back, facing towards my body, my knees, and not collapsed. And what I'm doing is exhaling and flexing the entire spine from the sacrum to the crown of the head. Notice that all the motion stops together. This is the key. All the motion stops together on the flexion. Not like this. Or like this. All together. Same thing, the extension motion, emphasizing contraction of the back channel, elongation of the front channel. When it stops, now my neck can't go very much back because of old injuries, so I have to stop at a certain point, and that should be when my sacrum stops at the same time. Boom, like this, at the same time, stopping. So not, see that? Not where the head reaches first and the butt's still going, right? Not where the butt reaches first and the head's still going. So we're going to show that. That's the coordination, first of all, we want to work on. Elbows back towards it, up nice and high. Exhale, tongue touching the roof of the mouth. Now, one of the things I want to think about is that as my spine is moving in this undulating fashion, and my whole body, but what I really want to do is bring my awareness inside. And I want to think about my actual central channel being what's moving the whole posture, right? In the beginning, when we start to move, if we're doing yoga or Tai Chi, any natural movement, we tend to move from the large muscles, martial arts too. We tend to move from the big trapezius, latissimus, pectorals, thighs, primarily. But in these kind of subtle movement arts, I call conscious embodiment, when we do practices that are physical, to consciously embody and bring in the magical potentials of the energy body and so forth, light body, then what we want to do is change the experience of what is motivating the movement, what is creating the movement. So instead of being here and having my hands and my torso, my hands and my legs drive my torso and pinch it and pull it apart, instead I want to have a sense, now I'm going to put my awareness in my red light body. Now I'm seeing my central channel from my crown to my tail down to my perineum. Seeing that blue central channel. It's Sushumna Nadi that you know exists now because you've been working on it and you have some experience of it. And I'm going to have that. As I exhale, I'm going to have that, and as I inhale now, lead the movement. Meaning that my arms and my legs are simply supporting and taking direction from the central channel, okay? So it's very different than using your arms and legs. So I want the support for the central channel motion to come from the arms and legs, and the command, though, of the movement, the starting of the movement is all coming from the central channel. This will make a huge difference in the way you practice, okay? That's what makes this very much a central channel kind of practice. So if you really go inside, this becomes a central channel family practice or a front-back channel alternating contraction expansion practice. It gets it all, really. So that's a wonderful practice. This is the cat posture. Again, maybe 1 to 9 movements in the cat posture, right? Okay, this one's not so static, but your hands and arms aren't moving, right, that much. Okay, now let's go to the hinge. So sumo, we connected to the earth nadi, the channel from the earth up through the legs. We worked with the upright position, so it's the rising nectar channel as well, is opening there as well. And we moved from that one into the plank where we generated a lot of front channel sensation. So we got that really moving. And then we move into the cat here. So now we get more central. So we moved it in. So we brought energy up from the earth. We brought it inside into the central in that little flow. So now let's start to move into our side channel practice here. We're going to do the hinge posture for that. So we have to come up on our knees. You may want a nice towel under your knee or something like that if it's painful for you or uncomfortable in any way. Start like this, and then you're going to take one leg and put it up, okay? Let's get back in camera a little bit more. And I want the calf here not to be here, but to be out here, this way. And I want my foot to be right in line with my knee this way, and my body in line this way, okay? Now, it may be difficult for you to put your leg out straight for now, maybe hard even just to hold this position right here, which is the starting position. It may be like, oh, that's really tight. I can't rotate up. I can't push my hip through and open up. I'm too tight here. In that case, shorten this up, and you'll find, oh, that's okay. So it's like a half squat on this side, and this one's like this. Okay, if you can hold it out, great, out here. If you can't, no problem. So one hand goes down here, one hand goes down here, the starting position. Try to get nice and flat through here. Take a deep breath. Raise the hand up, and exhale. Now you see I move very, very little. Some people can go a lot. I move very little, but I get a really deep sensation. So one of the things I'm trying to do here is I'm pushing away with my knee. So if I don't, I'm collapsing. So what I do is I push up out of my knee. Push up out of my knee, through my butt, through my side, up through the side channel here, through the side channel all the way up, even side channel that goes up through my neck, through my ear, and up to the crown point. And I just come over like this. And I try to relax and breathe. And it's an incredible posture. I can feel it from my fingertips all the way down to my toes in my side channel. So, you know, somewhere between 1 and 9 breaths that you feel comfortable with, slowly increasing over time, and then you do the other side. So this duplicates that side channel experience you had on the twisting and flapping of your knees on each side that you did, the abdominal stretching, twisting during the fire series, right? You're gonna feel the same channel. So again, the leg is not like this, the leg comes back like this. I push open here all the way. Hands are outside, lift up. Exhale. Pressing down with my knee, squeezing up with my butt and my hip. You can see that motion. It brings my hip forward, and I lean over, and I relax. Try to get the head here too. Side channel through here. Don't turn the head down. So just relax. Long, slow, double Kumbha breaths. And slowly it melts open a bit. Sometimes when it melts, you can go a little farther, right? Now, I don't want to rotate in, too. Avoid rotating in. Just stay back here. Don't push. It's gorgeous. You can feel it from here all the way down to the knees, through the knees to the toes. And then you come back after your 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 9 breaths, whatever you want to do. So that is the hinge posture. So it's a really lovely posture for side channel. And what I love about it is it's minimal movement and maximum sensation in the side channel. Okay, and most people can do that. So when you're standing and doing the swaying palm and things like that, you get a lot of compression in your lower back that you don't get when you're here. Not as much weight is coming down. So I think it's nicer, even though this is listed as a higher, more advanced asana or posture, because there's less flexibility there usually for most people. So that's your side channels, your side nadis. Now we move from there into the mountain twist. So we stay seated here. We're going to put one leg out nice and straight. And I'm going to put this other one on top, just in front of the knee this way or at the knee. If you feel too tight and you have to be there, that's okay too. So I'm going to be around the knee. It's not too Nazi here. We can be, you know, a little bit in back, a little bit inside, a little bit in front. It's okay. But the foot wants to stay flat. This foot wants to stay straight. My body wants to stay upright. So I start like this first, almost like a day at the beach, you know, looking out at the ocean. And then what I'm going to do is inhale, take this hand, bring it up. So if my right foot is forward, my right hand goes back. And I put it behind me and brace myself up this way, if your shoulder can do that, okay? Then I breathe up this hand, and I put it, exhale it down, and I match my shin and my forearm. I don't do like this, I don't do it like this. I match my shin and my forearm, keep this leg active, just like this. I don't let the foot flop out and the knee flop out. Stay like this, up here. Don't let my body round. Maybe it's too inflexible for now and it rounds, it's okay. Breathe like this, it'll open over time. Give a subtle energy of coming up into your seated position, it'll open. So you're up here, nice and tall, nice and regal, and then you turn your head. Breathe. You're going to feel restriction in double kumbha breathing, but do breathe through the whole double kumbha if you can. There's a soft pressure of my whole arm against my leg like this kind of pressure, but it's fairly soft. Don't round your shoulders, lift them up, keep them settled down, chest open. Okay, just like that. This is the twisted mountain posture. Let's go the other way. One leg straight, this time my left leg, my right leg over the top, coming down right inside here, okay? First, the first position. This may be enough for you to take a few breaths just here for the first few weeks. It's okay if that's what you need to. Everything gets a chance to really open up. The pelvis opens up a little bit to let you come forward. Right. And now we switch. Left leg forward, left hand. And press behind yourself, prop yourself up. Right hand. This is not the half Matsyendrasana posture. This is the spinal twist. Meru Vakrasana, the mountain twisting posture. So then here, last bit, head turns. This is really localizing the spine. It's isolating the spine, and keep your shoulder down. It's isolating the spine. It's not really big on the hips, so it takes the relief off of your hips, but gets great turning, opening, rotation power in your spine. A few breaths while you push back with your arm a bit. So when you're pushing with this arm, the tendency is to go like this and to fall back. We want to stay upright, shoulder down, turn this direction. So you make minute adjustments as you sit in the posture. Let your awareness pervade the whole body while you do these postures, and make subtle adjustments. Don't ever be in a posture and make a big gross movement adjustment. You can get hurt doing that, right? Very subtle adjustments. If you think you're way out of whack, just come out of the posture and start again. All right, so we just finished that beautiful mountain twist, and let's go now into the lunge posture. Lunge posture, call it the lunge for ease. Let me show it from this side first. You don't have to worry about how to get into it. It doesn't have to be ceremoniously beautiful. You can bring your foot up. You can have your hand inside your foot. You can see my forearm kind of disappears because it's lined up with my calf and my shin. And my hand is lined up with my foot. So the knee and shoulder are kind of at the same height. The other hand goes down here, and the other leg goes back behind me as much as I can, maintaining about 90 degrees at the knee. Once I reach this position where my toes are down like this, I can then flatten my foot, and I can push my foot backward a little bit, and that will activate a deep stretch underneath here, okay? If I can sink my pelvis towards the floor this way, I want to. There are some people very flexible in this position. Their pelvis could come down another 8 inches, more than mine or so. Right now, this is where mine is frozen, and that's where the practice takes place, and that's what I feel. So I feel a big stretch through my hip here. I feel a big stretch through the front of this thigh. And as I reach back, that extends all the way down to my knee. Okay, and I keep my leg against my shoulder. Don't let your leg fall out like this. Okay, now if you want to go inside like this and come up, put this inside your shoulder for a variation, and put your hands here on your fingertips or lower if you can reach, you can do that too. That's fun too. Either way you want to go. Okay, so there's 2 positions there. Let's try it on the other side. Should I do it forward for a moment? Yeah, let's do it forward for a moment while we're on this right side here. So I just get in this position, and I put my hands here, and I come up. Or I come back in here, this other hand position, and I come up. They do a little bit different job, each one, okay? That's the alignment there. So again, if I'm here and I want to get into the lunge from this side, I can just bring a foot up, place my hand on the inside of the foot, arm to arm, shoulder to shoulder, other hand on the outside, take my foot back. I'm going to maintain roughly 90 degrees here. And I'm going to put my back foot back, and then I'm going to put my back foot down, laying flat. Okay? And then I just breathe, and I hold this position, hold the knee into the shoulder, press with weight on this foot into the floor. I'm pressing, I'm like stamping. I'm pressing my hands in the floor as well, and pressing the back leg. At the same time, I'm slowly bringing my pelvis towards the floor, and my head is coming up. And the same thing we said before. You move your foot in a few inches, take your hands back up on the fingertips or palms if you can hold it. These are too long for me to reach for my palms there. And relax again into it this way. Again, I want to keep moving subtly. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. My pelvis is moving towards the floor the whole time I'm breathing. I'm allowing that natural melting that happens in the fascia, elongation and melting that happens in all the connective tissue. I'm letting my pelvis come towards the floor, and then I come out of it under control, nice and relaxed. Okay, so this is the lunge position, and it should be done before deep back bending if you don't have a lot of flexibility in the back bending. It'll release the front line, front nadis, which will then allow you to arch back without pinching excessively on the lower back, okay? So from here, we're going into the cobra posture. So we go from lunge to the cobra. So we go from the back, front line, we're gonna go to the back line again now, back channel. When I say back line, I mean back channel. So for the cobra, just bring yourself down. So now that we're lying down, we take our third eye, we press it into the mat. We touch our heart to the mat as well. If you have a smaller nose, this is more comfortable on the head. But it's comfortable. Actually, I like the pressure on my bridge of my nose a little bit too. Helps my skull bones. So third eye gets a little pressure from naturally lying here. Heart gets a little pressure. And the sacrum activation point, Svadhisthana chakra kshetram, the pubic symphysis in the front, gets pressed into the floor as well. So these three areas that represent the three bindus are pressing into the floor, softly. And then slowly, I begin to bring my nose up, sliding forward, so that the top of my vertebra of my spine and my neck are rolling back on each other, extending very slowly. Occiput extends on first cervical of the neck. First cervical extends on second. Second on third. Third on fourth. Fourth on fifth. By the time your chin gets there, you're like fifth on sixth, sixth on seventh vertical vertebra, cervical vertebra. And the head's starting to come up. At this point, I want to roll my shoulders back and down. Now I want to continue from C7 to thoracic 1, 2, 3. And come up as high as I can like that without my hands. And then I want to bring my hands back around and place them about my pectorals where I might do a push-up. But at this point, I want to apply pressure on the floor, not as a push, but rather as a pull. I'm going to lift off and take the skin off of the mat and pull forward. Now the elbows go back, pulling, and I continue to arch. Okay, I just pulled back there a second just so I'm going to pull the mic cord out. You stay right where you are. Pull back those hands and arch. Now I'm showing you a very low cobra here. So shoulders are away from my ears, shoulders are back, arms are back, pulling's taking place. My neck is at full contraction, my spine is at full contraction. But my navel, you can see my navel area is remaining on the ground. That's what defines a cobra. So a cobra posture keeps the navel on the ground, even if my upper body could come up all the way up like this, like a cobra, which some people are very flexible and can do. I can't do that. But if you can do that, then you look more like a cobra. Now, it's important to keep the Manipur navel on the ground while you're doing your long, slow breaths. And just like a snake, if you've ever seen them like this, when they breathe in, they rise up. I can look up through my third eye. And then eventually I just want to come down slowly, 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 slowly. Reversing and feeling each one of those vertebrae roll back on the one above it. Until eventually, pressure with the heart, third eye, pubic symphysis. Relax and turn your head to the side and stay like this in between. So it's important that we stay on the ground from our navel down to the floor in a traditional Kundalini Hatha Yoga cobra posture, because the cobra posture is one of the most important postures for Kundalini Hatha Yoga, right? But only if it's done like this. If you do it like this, and you're suspending yourself like an upward dog, you lose the power of this posture to make the earth element, water element, meet at the fire element, be gathered by the fire element where the bend takes place. Activating Manipur chakra, driving up that energy into the wind and space elements, balancing it all, providing the power to move up from the Swadhisthana chakra, second chakra, all the way up, right up through, if you're looking at Shambhavi Mudra, through the third eye, up through the sky, basically. And this is a very important posture in our system. So take your time and learn how to do it slowly, rolling up each vertebra by vertebra, really slow. Then getting the hands placed down. So again, when the hands are placed down, I'm not pushing back like a push-up. I'm pulling. I'm pulling my chest through. So I'm attempting to pull my chest through. I'm a little bit limited in demonstrating it because I have a microphone under here. If I pull really hard, it pops off every time. So I would be pulling through a bit more with my chest and arching even harder, okay? So you arch and you try to come through your hands forward with your chest. And that gets you more upright. And I've seen a lot of cobras in India traveling around, and where we used to live in Thailand as well with our center there. And they're very fascinating. They're very intelligent. They'll come and sit up right in front of you, no danger. And you can see when they're breathing how they move the same way we just described. So having released the front channel tension first with the lunge, we went into cobra to use that to bring the power into the back channel and to start to bring the energy up and transform a bit of that five element heavy energy of earth and water up and through fire to wind and space, which will drive certain practices that we'll use in higher levels, level 2 and onward, especially into Mahakumbhaka, okay? So that's the cobra posture. And then after the cobra posture, we'd like to do the foot and hand posture, a traditional posture of yoga. I have to stand up for this one, the foot in hand. So what we're going to do is come from here, keep our feet like this. Now, if you have enough flexibility, I think I'll show you sideways. If you have enough flexibility, you take your hand and you place it underneath here, just like mirroring the foot. See where it is? And then you step on your own wrist this way. So it's not this out here. If this is where you have to start, that's okay. If this is where you have to start, that's okay. In this posture, even here, that's okay. You might start here, 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 you might start here. But here's where you want to be eventually. This is called the foot-hand posture. Now, when I'm down like this, I don't feel any wrist pain at all, okay, because it's flexible enough. When you're flexible enough, you won't feel wrist pain there. But let me just show you with this toe. You can see that this big toe is grabbing. See how it's grabbing at the base of my thumb? There are marma points here that are very powerful. The toe represents the head and space element, so does the thumb. We're really activating a lot of space element as we come through here. Simultaneously, the pressure from the center of the foot is hitting the center of the hand. There's a chakra here, important chakra here. And as we press into that chakra and activate space, we're basically activating the center core of our energy to move outward. So we're expanding that energy. And especially it makes an expansion of the energy in the central channel. And when you do this circuit, you develop a circuit. Your hands are under your feet and you're going to breathe
and you can become aware of the earth energy coming up the earth nadis, going through the top of the head, coming back down through the hands, and meeting the feet and joining again. So you're starting to get this great development of flow from the earth nadi up through the body, back down again, and circulating. Okay, so let's see what that looks like sideways. So I would come down, place my hands in place, and push my toes in nice and hard. I'm going to, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I'm going to open my butt bones. I'm spreading open my butt bones by feeling like I'm rotating my heels outwards. And then I'm going to just relax forward. Now, ideally, you're not trying to touch your head to your knees. Ideally, you're trying to make a connection with your crown down to this point here. So it's about elongating this way. It's about getting the back flatter rather than arching and rolling in, okay? So with this in mind, I'm going to move my shoulders away from my ears, spread my scapulas, my ring bones in the back, and let my elbows go out to the side, let my body fold flat against my legs, my crown coming towards the floor, not cranking my face in towards my knees or my shins. Tongue inward from the mouth, breathe smoothly, aware of the energy coming up through the earth, up through the back of my legs, up through the sacrum, up to the spinal channel, back channel, over the top, down through the crown, and creating a circuit. When you're done, just pull your hands out, come back down or up into your next posture and relax as you will. So that creates a really powerful nourishing circuit where the earth energies come up and nourish the whole being. It creates kind of a holistic sensation, a grounding, and also a powerful expansion, as we said, of the central channel energy, right? Because you're defining it by a circle around it, a circuit around it. And as you define it by a circuit around it, the central channel in the center starts to awaken more, okay? Just some of the little tidbits that make Kundalini Hatha Yoga traditionally so interesting and so rich compared to modern postural yoga or studio yoga disconnected from tantric roots. And this is only, you know, the very, very surface level we're talking about here. When you come into level 2 and 3, this type of stuff becomes really interesting as you see it integrating into the whole system of awakening all the Kundalini Shakti, and you do the Kumbhaka and Mahakumbhaka holds and learn how to bring that energy up the central channel, melting chakras and opening up all kinds of potentialities, okay? Most importantly, self-realization. This is where it all feeds into it, and this is why we have to have a full, complete knowledge of the body energy system. What is the subtle energy? We see a lot of things out on the internet now, books about chakras and channels, and only the Tibetans seem to have any clue anymore about what it really is, what's really going on in the subtle anatomy. You don't see much at all in the way of Indian writers or postural yoga writers getting it even remotely close. So we were trying to preserve that kind of knowledge in this tradition. And because it's important not just to preserve it for its own sake, because it's like an antique painting or something, but because it's really functional, because it really gives the inner engine that makes yoga a spiritual technology of liberation. Without that, it's very difficult. It's always just exercise and meditation, right? Okay, so going from the foot hand, which just feels so good at the end of a flow, this small flow like this series, we're gonna go to animal posture. Now, in the animal posture, I'm going to, and you don't have to use a mat if you don't want to use a mat. I'll just use a mat for demonstration purposes. But if you have joint problems or something, mats or cushioning might be nice. And if you have live in a cold country with a cold floor and you don't want to take that cold guna quality into the body and raise your wind and vata, which is not good for the body, then you might want to use a nice insulating thick rubber mat like this. Now, I take this big toe, it doesn't go past my knee. It stays right at the knee. It goes right, this foot goes right on the inside of the Gupta Nadi, the secret Nadi, inside the inner thigh. More on that later, level 2, 3, and especially 4. Then this knee is like this, and now what I'm gonna do is, this one is tucked in the back. This is actually the position where you sit with royalty or with monks or nuns when you're in Thailand, right? Where they have royalty, you have to sit like this, you have to pranam like this, with the Buddhist monks as well, with the abbots and so forth. But anyway, this is called the animal posture in yoga. And what I want to do is take palms and put it on either side of my knee, And I'm going to lift up my weight. Watch what I'm going to do. And I'm going to push my bum that way. Push my bum that way. So it was here. I shift it out here, right? So when we sit, we usually sit like this. Then we pick it up and we push it out. After I push it out, keep it out and place it back down on the ground. There are some very dynamic ways to do this posture sequence, the animal posture, in warrior yoga and also in higher level nadi yoga, the channel yoga, specific channel yoga, but that's not necessary right now. We can build up our strength slowly and our movement slowly if indeed we're going to take the way of fire. But just for even if we're not taking the way of fire, and this is just supportive to our other practices, then this is the way we want to come down into it. I place my butt down outside lateral a bit more. Then I begin to walk forward with my hands because maybe my low back isn't strong enough to support and my butt isn't strong enough to support moving down without the hands for now. Later on you can do that. So I can take my hands and I can walk them out, and I'm attempting to keep my center of my chest muscles split with the center of my knee. So I'm coming down like this and I'm walking out, but I keep this one about at the push-up position, right? And I keep walking this one out then afterwards. Why? Because if I keep walking out like this, if I'm tight, I'll roll over. So when I counter rotate, so I come walking out, keep this one about here, this one keeps coming. Walking my fingers out. The key is not to round out, because watch, I can round out and touch my head, and I have no sensations opening in the channels that I'm trying to sense and feel. To get the right channel feeling, the correct channel feeling, which is deep in the hip and down the side channel of the leg that's down, for now, I want to keep this alignment with this shoulder up, my right shoulder up. My right hand is down, my right shoulder's up, like a push-up. And I counter rotate. I don't let myself fall. I push back up on this side. And I crawl these fingers out. And now as I come down here, my navel lands on my Gupta Nadi. My heart lands on my liver point. My chin goes past my knee. And I remain here. I can do this, but that's not what I really want to do. I actually want to feel the whole channel from my coccyx, from my perineum, from my Muladhara chakra. I want to feel that whole channel right up through my crown here. The tongue is on the roof of the mouth and I'm breathing. Doing a double kumbha breath, but softly, so I don't fight against the compression of the chest and belly, but just soft. I can feel that channel now. If I go like this, it all collapses. So I want to sense the channel, feel the channel. I can come closer to the ground, but I want to maintain that integrity in my spine, right up through my neck and my head. So I'm breathing along that channel as I do this, okay? There's more variations of this, like I said. You can move this into a very strong side channel posture, but now we'll just do the other side so we can see both. Okay, and so I can be balanced. All right, again, let's review. The big toe goes to the front of the knee. Not past the front of the knee, just right there. This bottom of the foot goes inside the Gupta Nadi. This back foot gets tucked in. I turn, I pick up, and I swing my buttocks that way, outside. I put it back down in that position. I begin to walk my hands out, keeping my middle of my breast in line with the center of the femur head here, and trying to get my navel down on the inside of the Gupta Nadi, inside of the thigh. So I keep walking out. Now my fingertips come out, counter rotating so I don't fall. Exhaling. And each side, you're going to be surprised at how asymmetrical it feels on each side. If you're not into yoga practice a lot, it'll have a lot of asymmetry in this one because it's opening up your whole pelvis. And most of us walk and stand with very asymmetrical gaits and postures. And we build up different tensions. So just breathe here a little bit. So notice it's about having that back flat. It's not about rounding. It's about having it flat. Let's say I'm tight here. I am more tighter in this position than in the same position on the other side. So I'm going to stay and breathe here for a second or two. I'm breathing into every area that's tight. That's another thing. Bring my awareness to every area that's tight. Breathe into every area that's tight. As well as sensing the channels overall opening up And then as I exhale, because it's opening up, I can start to go a little deeper. I'll probably stay here. Spine as straight as I can make it. Don't let the head dip too much. I'm tucking the chin in, lifting up, trying to get that flow of energy so crucial up through the crown. Tongue, roof of the mouth. With every breath, what I'm doing is I'm pressing my belly against my thigh. I'm pressing my chest against my knee, if I can. And then I come back out of it nice and smooth. Walk the hands back up and bring the legs back around. Okay, this is really wonderful. 9 postures, 8 postures, let's see, 9 postures. 9 posture little sequence that you can do as part of your level 1 Kundalini Hatha Yoga as part of the Way of Fire. If you perform these, if you have the intention of going to level 2 and 3 and so on, then perform these at least 4 or 5 times a week in your normal routine that we've given you so far. If you don't have any desire to go there, then you don't necessarily need them, but they might be helpful just for your health benefits, right? And keeping you nice and young instead of aging in a way that prevents you from practicing and benefiting from all the beautiful things that life has to offer. So at this point now, we integrate the static postures or not into our practice routines. So let me refer to that. First, we're doing red light body invocation. Second, again, double kumbha breathing, somewhere between 3 and 9 breaths. After that, wind series 1, 5 to 7 reps each, somewhere in that range. Unless you really want to work it, you can go 10, 15, you know. Wind series 2, followed right after 1, you go to 2, same repetitions. Then churning Sushumna Nadi, as we learned how to do, 8 times in each direction. And then the fire series. After the fire series, going to the energy block releasing series 1 and 2. And from there, that's when we would do the static asana, if you put them in. From the static asana, everything should be kind of really calm and really open and harmonized now in your channels, your chakras, your bindus, at least in your prana, you know, at least to the stage that you're at as a beginner in yoga. Maybe you can't even feel channels and chakras yet, but that nice feeling of equanimity that you have, where everything feels so balanced and harmonized, is an indication that things were done correctly in the channels and chakras, right? And that the wind in the mind channels has begun to calm down and relax. And then from there, that sets up the wonderful platform for us to start our alternate nostril breathing. So here, with all the wind relaxed in the channels in the mind, we start our alternate nostril breathing, 5 to 20 minutes. And from there, we can go into our Om chanting for 5 to 20 minutes again. That allows us to move really deep inside at that point. If you want to do Tradak, then you can, or if you want to do the Tri Bindu practice, you can. Remember, those are 2 ones that you can swap in and out for each other and see which one should go first, what you like to do first. So you go Om chanting, let's say Trataka then for another 5 to 15 minutes, and then you go to the Tri Bandha for some pulsations, and then follow with 3 long holds if you can. And after that, again, you're going to your Shavasana. And make sure you really relax well now, because you did those static postures and you might have gotten fatigued or tense somewhere. And the bandhas as well, really relax. Don't control anything, just like we always do in Shavasana. And then after that, perform your self-massage, okay? So great, put that in your series now, and let's continue on.